Jim, first of all, thank you, and appreciate everything you did and everything you have done, and it makes a huge difference. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Burgin. I am your North Carolina Senator. I represent you there, District 12. I want to tell you that I am a Christian, conservative, fourth-generation Republican. I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, with the University of Tennessee, but I've lived in North Carolina a total of 35 years. I moved here right out of college to Greensboro, met my wife, who next month will be celebrating 39 years, and we moved all over the country. I worked for a large corporation, but when our oldest child, who now has my three granddaughters, when she was 18 months old, we moved to Angier, North Carolina, and I bought a business. And God has blessed it. We now employ 300 people. So I am a politician that actually does create jobs. This room is filled with wonderful people that have helped me and helped a lot of Republicans. And we're counting on you doing that in this off-year election and in the next election. One thing that I have admired about Democrats is that they do work together. Now, they might argue and fuss behind the scenes, but now they come out and work together. Now, us being more independent thinkers, we will tell people what we think publicly. And sometimes that actually becomes divisive to some people. But I think, and I'll tell you this, if anyone in this room ever has a problem with me, come to me first. That's biblical. We all need to do that. And Charlie Parks is a dear friend of mine, and Charlie and I have long conversations. Charlie, have we always agreed on everything? Pretty much. But a couple of times when we have, and you know who talked to me first about it? Charlie. I didn't hear it from anybody else. I heard it from Charlie first. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, well, probably no, with Charlie, it's 10 out of 10 times. We've always worked it out, haven't we, Charlie? So let me tell you what happened after the election. And thanks to you all, and I still think it's fantastic to be such a blue county. I won 54.73% of the election of the ballots up here. In Harnett County, I got 61.22%, and in Johnston County, I got 76.94% of the votes. So my total was 60.9%. My goal was 60%. So, and my goal for this next time is 65%. I'm going ahead and tell you that right now. That's my goal. The day after the election, and I want to introduce somebody to you. Elissa, would you stand up? This is Miss Elissa too. She was let's give her a big hand. She was my legislative assistant on the campaign. She was my campaign. Well, she did a lot more than just communications and advertising. In fact, our campaign was us. We didn't hire a political consultant. I didn't pay a lot of money out to other folks. Well, Roger, stand up, Roger. Let me tell you about Roger. Roger was an unpaid staff member, right, Roger? Roger, if you want somebody to help you on a campaign, Roger is a great guy. He's a very talented young man. He's our vice chair of our party.
Let me get a little closer for this one here.
And Jennifer, I know he's a wonderful husband and a great dad. So, but Roger, I appreciate you too. But as far as folks that were day to day in the campaign, it was us. You know, we got out, we did things. We, you know, she got up all the Facebook stuff and everything and did great. But the day after the election, I put her on this task. Call every member of the Council of State, every secretary, every commissioner, and set up appointments with them. We have visited and sat down in private meetings with every one of those and with the governor twice. So because I wanted to talk to folks. You know, I wanted to know people that I was interested. I was going up there to do something. Now let me tell you what I've done since we've been up there. I have, with the help of the whole Senate, I've passed twice as many bills as any freshman so far. That's 2. Now, wait a minute, don't clap yet. That's only 2, but another freshman has passed 1, so I'm twice as many as he has. But one of those actually Charlie and I have been talking about. There was funds that Ron Rabin got for a Veterans Memorial in Broadway, but because of the hurricane, the construction company that was supposed to get it done was not able to do it. I mean, they went off and started doing other things for other clients, and they just couldn't get it done. John Sauls brought it to my attention that that money was not going to be there after the 30th of June. When this year runs out, the money was going to be gone. So I prepared a bill, went to leadership, talked to everybody, and we passed unanimously this past week a bill to give them another whole year to get that, to spend that money. So, and I know John and I have worked together, and I know John's working on some other stuff that he'll probably talk to you about. But now they're going to be able to do that memorial, so you'll be able to go to Broadway and see that. And the other one was for Harnett County. They had a restriction on the recreation fees. They collect $500 per lot sold that has to go to recreation. But the way it was set up originally, you could only spend that money to buy more land. Well, they didn't need more land. They needed to build parks and ball fields and concession stands and all that. So last week, unanimously, I got it passed as a local bill that they can now use that money for anything in recreation. So they collected $2.1 million. And so anyway, they're going to be able to start using that. Let me run through a few things that we're working on right now that I think are interesting. This is something else that Ron and I had talked about. Ron and I spent almost 3 hours together today. We met and had lunch and have been talking, and I value his opinion and advice. But one of the things that Ron and I, this was actually the first bill I introduced, but it's kind of having to go through a longer process, is a military tax relief bill. The military folks that reside in our county that retired prior to 1986 pay no income tax on their military retirement. It's called the Bailey Act. What this bill does is says that any person that retires and stays in our state, that retires from the military, will not have to pay tax on their retirement. What that will do, that'll encourage retirees to stay in our state. This bill, when it's passed, will cost the state $20 million is what the fiscal note on that is. Fiscal note is when they estimate what those things are going to be. But so far, we're estimating, and I've got a lot of different folks working on the figures right now, we think that it will bring the state in between $40 and $60 million. But I'll have those numbers probably Monday is when they're supposed to have them for me. But that was one of the first things. Some of the other things we've done is just in Department of Public Safety, there's 3,500 positions that are open right now. Those are unfilled positions. So I've introduced a bill that removes all unfilled positions. If any of the DPI, anybody that's got any unfilled positions, if they haven't filled it in 2 years, we're going to eliminate those positions. If we're spending money on something, we need to know where the money's being spent for. Right now, they're taking those unfilled position revenues or money, and they're using it for other things, and not necessarily things that are being approved of. And so we need to know where the money's going and how it's being spent. I've also introduced a bill to modify a teaching fellow program. We eliminated it a few years ago. We've added it back, but this bill would require the first 2 years of the teaching fellow program to be done at the community college level. Now, I'm vice chair of Central Carolina Community College and have been for a number of years, and the county commissioners in Harnett County have extended my term to 2025. They wanted me to be able to stay on there. As a senator, I cannot be re-elected to be on there, but I'm allowed to finish my term, so I will be on there till 2025. We've also introduced a bill. It's an insurance fraud prevention, I won't get into all the numbers, but insurance fraud in North Carolina and across the country is high. It costs all of you money. Everyone in here at least has auto insurance, and most of you have homeowners and a lot of other insurance products. So this insurance fraud I've been working with the Department of Insurance, and that has gone real well. I also introduced a school calendar bill. Now, we were told on the Senate side not to introduce calendar bills. They weren't going to let them pass. But I don't necessarily listen to some of those things. So I talked to leadership and said, what if, and I talked to people in education in our counties. I said, what if we allow the counties to move their calendar 1 week, and we do it on a 2-year trial just to see. And I think they're going to let this one go through, John. I know you all are passing some in the House, and yours will pass. The problem is when it gets over to the Senate. And I'm going to talk about John in just a minute, because I want to tell you how well we're working together. Also, something else we've introduced is a infrastructure. It's ag manufacturing for Tier 1 and Tier 2 counties. And what it'll do is it'll allow if a business comes into a Tier 1 or Tier 2 county and invests a certain amount of money, they get a forgiveness of their income, of their state income tax. We're not fooling with federal or anything, but their state income tax for a short period of time. So that's another bill. We're also introduced one for military liaison funds for our counties. We did that. A bill to eliminate a lot of the CON. The CON is called Certificate of Need. It dictates what hospitals can do, who can put in MRIs, where surgery centers can go. And we've been meeting, we probably had 30 meetings this week about it. And so my bill takes everything psychiatric out, it takes surgical centers out, it takes dialysis centers out, it takes all of those out of the CON. And folks, people are working real well with us, and I think it very well may pass. It looks really good right now. And also, we have right now 160 highway patrol positions that are unfilled in this state. We are losing highway patrolmen. They're going to the UNC system, making more money as a security person with UNC than they can in the highway patrol. So we just introduced a bill that raises not only their pay, so they become the highest paid law enforcement in the state, but it also changes the death benefit. Right now, if they're killed in the line of duty, it's a $500,000 to their family, and I want to raise that to $1 million. I think you know, we had 5 killed. I just think that it's real important that we, and the other thing too, the person that kills them will be charged and will be tried for the death penalty. The jury can decide to do it life, but they have to be prosecuted on the death penalty. So now here's what I need you all to do. Not only, sorry, also I want you all to come see me. Alyssa keeps the calendar. She can tell you, and she keeps it, I mean, down to the 30 minutes, because that's how we schedule things, 30 minutes at a time. But if you will call her, and she's got cards and I've got cards, we need to see you all up there. There's 6 lobbyists for every member of the House and Senate. So you can imagine they're in the halls all the time. You all need to be in the halls too. So I encourage you to come up there. If you will call people in my district, go to the front of the line. I'll see you quicker than I'll see any of the lobbyists or anything. So please take a few minutes and come see us. And then talking about John. I think John and I talked 3 times yesterday. You know, we talk, if we don't talk every day, we talk probably every other day, or we see each other. And John, it's been just a pleasure to work with you. And John and I are working on a couple of other projects right now. The bills that he gets passed that need to be run in the Senate, I'm going to run them in the Senate. The bills that I pass, he's going to run in the House, and we talk about them. So again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for all that you do for your country. I mean, this is going to matter. And something to Jim that you didn't mention, the reason this election is so important is we're getting ready to do another census. And after the census is done is when all the redistricting happens and all of that. Whoever's got control of the House and Senate is going to control how redistricting is done. So this really is important, and it really is, it is very, very significant time in our lives. As I mentioned earlier, I got 3 granddaughters, and I've got 2 kids that aren't married. I hope I have more grandchildren. I love kids. But what concerns me as a parent is that every generation up to mine has been able to do better. My dad did better than his dad. His dad did better than his dad, as far as just economically and freedoms and not having to work quite as hard. But I'm concerned about, I don't know that my kids are going to be able to do better than Ann and I've done. I hope they do. But I want people to have opportunities. That's what this is all about to me. Like I said, I've been blessed. I've got plenty of things I can do, but I choose to do this because I want other people to have the blessings and to enjoy what this country has to offer like Ann and I've got to. So call me, come see me. Yes, sir.
I have a question for you and John. If you don't mind, I know I'm not from Lee County, but if you would please address in the House and the Senate just one very important thing for somebody like myself. I'm an avid fisherman. The lakes that goes ahead and goes from like North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina to Virginia and what have you. There is no reciprocal agreement between North Carolina and these other states on fishing license. Okay? That's a big problem for somebody like me. I don't know which side of that line that I'm on some days. Well, nice $300 ticket will get your attention. So if y'all do me a favor, please, and I know all it is just a reciprocation, but if y'all could look at that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Look, I tell people all the time, you bring something to my attention and I will check it out. Write it down, we'll check on it Monday. Nobody's ever asked me that. I thought you were going to bring up the fishing on North Carolina coast, because I've been talking to a lot of people about that. That's we've got a million recreational fishermen and about 300, I'm going to quote a wrong number here, but we also have the commercial fishermen, and there's an ongoing conflict between them about the hatcheries and the dragon.
I have a lifetime license,
yeah, okay.
And I got a nice little ticket in South Carolina from Lake Wiley, and I've been trying to get it addressed, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.